You're watching ACC Baseball on ACC Network Extra. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Durham, North Carolina. Alongside former Duke catcher Ron Causey, I am Ryan Craig. Carolina Panthers tight end Greg Olson here for Game 3 of a top 10 matchup between the Wolfpack and Blue Devils in town for the Duke Children's Hospital Gala last night and catching the game this afternoon. And what a game it figures to be, Ron. Huge opportunity for Duke. Trying to salvage a game from the series. Wolfpack looking for a sweep on the road in the ACC over a top 10 team.
The Wolfpack have the series. They've won the first two games. Duke, however, has trusted the process all year. They have not abandoned that philosophy. They've suffered 3 straight losses. It's their longest losing streak of the season. However, all of the top 15 teams, but still have a chance to win an ACC game against the 4th best college baseball team in the country.
Getting set for the national anthem here at Jack Coombs Field. On the other side of the break, we will walk you back through games 1 and 2 of the series. Beautiful day in the Bull City here in North Carolina. And what an opportunity for a non-conference matchup between in-state rivals just 30 minutes apart from each other on I-40. Plenty more to come here on ACC Network Extra. Moments away from the start of Game 3 between the Wolfpack and Blue Devils. But first, let's take a look back at games 1 and 2. Ron, 2 very different games. A 9-2 victory for the Wolfpack Friday evening. Reed Johnston was the story, the freshman right-hander. Career best 6 2/3 innings pitched. Career high 95 pitches thrown. Only 4 hits, 2 earned run. He was really special for the Wolfpack.
The NC State offense supported Reed Johnston's effort with 9 runs on 15 hits and really played well in all 3 phases of Game 1.
Totally different kind of game in Game 2. Both pitchers excellent. 5 2/3 innings of shutout baseball for Brian Brown. Mitch Stallings almost equally as good for Duke. 6 1/3, 2 earned runs. A pitcher's duel in every sense with some spectacular fielding as well. Had a couple of replays with plays at the plate. It was tooth and nail the whole time.
Game 2 had everything you would expect in a top 10 matchup in the ACC on a Saturday. Robbed home runs, 3 replay reviews, exciting plays at home plate, and ultimately a close game that resulted in an NC State series win.
No closer play and no more significant play in the game than this. Griffin Conine settling under what would eventually be a sacrifice fly. Great base running for Will Wilson. You could see staying on the bag just long enough. Came home with what would end up being the winning run. Made it 2-0 at the time. Duke would scratch one across to make it 2-1, so that ended up being the game-winning run. By the way, that was after Wilson had tripled in the first run. So he single-handedly produced both runs on the afternoon for the Wolfpack. There is the batting order for NC State today. Stephen Patera in the 8th spot came on as a pinch hitter in Game 2. He replaces JT Jarrett in the lineup and will play second base as well. McLean has been absolutely ridiculous in the series. 3 for 5 in Game 1, 3 for 4 in Game 2 for Coach Elliot Avent. And for Duke, on the mound, Ryan Day missed his last start with a bit of an injury, but back today on a pitch count, though we don't know what that number is. 1 2 on the season with an ERA just shy of 5. This will be his 8th start. 20 earned runs surrendered in 36 2/3 innings pitched. And anytime you hear about a pitch count, as McLean first pitch swinging, Miller quickly, and I mean quickly, 1 away. That is something we haven't seen an awful lot of in the series, McLean being retired. But anytime there's a pitch count, you know that means the bullpen is going to have a good day for your team, because even if Day is out here and is especially effective, he's not going to give you 6 or 7 innings.
Well, the Duke bullpen has been great all weekend, really. The only Duke pitcher to struggle, Adam Lasky, in that first game, giving up 3 in the top of the 3rd, 4 in the top of the 4th. Other than that, the Duke pitching staff has done a great job this weekend.
Another first pitch swing. Brad Kinnaman lifts that one to Jimmy Herron. At this pace, Ryan Day may throw 6 or 7 innings. You only need 2 pitches to get 2 outs here in the top of the 1st. Quickly,
very different start.
NC State down to 1 out here in the top half of the inning.
Very different start to yesterday's game. Those 2 leadoff hitters in McLean and Kinnaman both singled. Duke found themselves in a little bit of a hole early in that game. They were able to escape the top of the 1st without allowing an NC State run, but Ryan Day working very efficiently right now.
Saw the defense for the Blue Devils Finally a pitch taken for NC State. It is Wilson now who falls behind in the count 0-1. Jimmy Herron out in left. Left field has been a magnet for incredible plays this weekend. SportsCenter top 10 for Kinnaman out there robbing a home run. Herron did the same yesterday. Herron also threw out a runner at home plate. Kinnaman had a circus catch in game 1, all in left field. The 1-1 pitch from Day is in for a strike. The 1-2 misses, and the count evens at 2-2.
Ryan Day is a guy that's going to throw a lot of strikes for Duke. Great command of all of his pitches, especially his fastball, able to work both sides of the plate very effectively.
Toward left and deep. Herron giving chase, and that one drifts foul. I think everybody in the stadium thought that one had home run potential, but just kept drifting foul. So Wilson will trot back to the plate.
Chris Proctor, the Duke catcher, signaling into the dugout that ball was left a little bit too far over the plate. He wanted it in on the hands, perhaps a couple inches off the plate inside. Instead, Ryan Day left it on the good part of the plate, and Will Wilson nearly made him pay.
It's a good look at Proctor, who started all but one game for Duke this season. Wilson, a 2-2 count now with 2 away. Lifted the other way. Miller points to the sky. He's going to leave it for Griffin Conine. That'll do it. Top of the first. Ryan Day, an effective and efficient half inning. Duke will come to bat with Herron, Proctor, and Cone. We'll give you the rest of the Blue Devil lineup on the other side of the break, and we'll introduce the NC State pitcher as well. Game 3 just underway here on ACC Network Extra. Terrific crowd on a beautiful Sunday afternoon here at Jack Coombs Field in the Bull City, Durham, North Carolina. Top 10 ACC matchup. Coach Chris Pollard has to love what he saw from Ryan Day in the top of the first. Now his offense will go to the work, and here is the lineup that he penciled in for this afternoon. Herron, Proctor, Cone, Loper, Fido, Conine, Taylor, Smickless, Miller, Lebowski. Taylor and Conine swapping spots from yesterday. Smickless up from the 9th spot into the 7 hole. That drops Miller and Lebowski down 1 spot apiece. Throwing the baseball to that lineup, Michael Beeline, 3-2 on the season, a 5.04 ERA, 7 starts now, counting today, 25 innings pitched. Allowed 14 earned runs. Opponents hitting .346 off of the righty. He's also hit 8 batters, so has had some control issues at times. Mentioned Conine sliding up to that 5 spot. A 3-for-4 day for him yesterday with a run scored. Hard contact the other way and up the middle, a positive sign for a guy with high expectations. If Duke can get his bat going, they're going to be in really good shape going forward. A guy who's had the bat going seemingly for his entire career, Jimmy Herron, steps into the plate, adding .291 on the season. He, just like Josh McClain, first pitch swinging and quickly one away. So both teams, an aggressive approach against these starters has not paid dividends thus far. There's Beeline, who will face Chris Proctor next. Proctor squares around to potentially bunt his way on. Takes a strike. Proctor 1 for 10 in the series. Finished off a strike him out, throw him out yesterday. Duke did not manage the running game particularly well Tuesday night in a non-conference loss to East Carolina, but it's been a very different story here on the weekend. Proctor drills that one toward right. Bounces in front of Deathridge, and Duke with the first hit of the game for either team.
Michael Beeline, the NC State starter, likes to get the ball back, work quick on the mound from the windup. Right there, Proctor with a nice swing. Drove that line drive to right field, falls right in front of Deathridge.
Proctor has the ability to do some damage on the base paths, 10 for 11 this season in stolen bases. Zach Cohn, 2 for 8 in the series thus far. See if Duke gets anything going here in the very first inning with regards to a hit and run. Saw Proctor on the hitting end of a hit and run yesterday. Now out there on the base paths. And Proctor is off and running. Cohn protects him with a swing, fouls it off. So Duke does elect to get the runner going here in the early going.
We mentioned NC State's quick start to yesterday's game, 2 singles to start the game off, unable to score in the top of the first. Duke, a similar start after Heron reached base. Chris Proctor, you mentioned the hit and run, well executed, hit a ground ball through the 6-hole, the left side of the infield. Duke had runners at first and third, nobody out, unable to scratch one across in that low-scoring game yesterday.
It's funny, it was a low-scoring game that had the potential to be a whole lot higher scoring. Both teams leaving a lot of runners on, Duke in particular. A 3-run home run that was stolen away by Jimmy Heron in the first inning as well. It's amazing. You look at the box score, you wouldn't really get a feel for what that game was. Far more exciting, a lot more fireworks than a 2-1 score might indicate. The 0-1 pitch to Cohn, drilled right up the middle off the glove of Patera. Cohn will head to third, so an inch away from potentially a double play. Turns into first and third with 1 out for Duke.
Great base running by Chris Proctor, the Duke catcher. He's really got some wheels for a guy that makes a living behind the plate. Another look at the swing. Hard hit ground ball right back up the middle, nearly fielded by Patera there at second. Great diving effort, and you see Proctor right there making that aggressive turn. He knew the whole time he was headed for third base, never slowed down. And Blue Devils now with runners on the corners early in this one.
The freshman, Joey Loper-Fido, first and third with 1 away. See how Duke treats this situation. NC State middle infield and double play depth, as you might imagine, as Loper-Fido holds off and takes a ball. Cohn does have speed. 5 for 5 in stolen base attempts this year. Maybe you get him running, try to draw the throw, sneak Proctor in from behind. A lot of options here. Inning-ending double play is the number 1 objective for Beeline.
I expect Duke to be very aggressive on the bases in this game. Traditionally, throughout the year, they've done very well, but they've seen some left-handed pitchers from NC State that have great left-handed pickoff moves, and that's really controlled the running game for the Blue Devils. And today, with Beeline, the right-handed starter for the Wolfpack, Duke just may have a chance to take more swipes at second base.
Patrick Bailey, the catcher for NC State, out to have an early chat with Beeline. Loper-Fido ahead in the count, 2-0. Duke has yet to take a lead in the series. Great opportunity to do so here. The 2-0. That one misses, and it's 3-0. On deck, Griffin Conine back wearing number 9 today after having to wear a replacement jersey yesterday in number 1. There you see a guy who a lot of people feel like will be drafted in the first round in just a little while from now. Loper-Fido stares at ball 4. So Beeline issues the walk. Duke with a golden opportunity here with their most high-profile hitter headed to the plate. A guy that has struggled for much of the season, but perhaps breaking out of it yesterday, a 3-for-4 day. And we mentioned the nature of the hits, and guys on your screen will be in charge of trying to figure out how to get 2 outs here without surrendering a run. Mentioned the acrobatics for Kinnaman in left. Great outfield defense for the Wolfpack. I'd say the same about the infield as well. NC State fielding 975 as a team this year. Just a hair behind Duke at 980, but both obviously Very good fielding ball clubs. Well, if Conine cracked the door open yesterday, he could kick it all the way open here with a base hit, maybe more, really get the confidence going. NC State with the shift. Shortstop playing to the first base side of second base. First pitch to Conine, misses, and it's 1-0. Is this a situation, Ron, where you make him throw a strike?
Yeah, Conine has all day to be patient here. Beeline unable to find the strike zone to Loperfido. Conine seeing the ball very well. Take your time, be patient, see some pitches into the catcher's mitt.
The 1-0. Hammered foul.
The flag's in center field, blowing towards the building over right center. So helping wind to the right side of the field, cross wind to the left side of the field. Most wind we've seen at Jack Coombs Field, Jack Coombs Stadium, I should say, this weekend.
The 1-1 pitch from Beeline. Swung on and missed. And now 1-2. Bases loaded, one out. Kenny Taylor on deck. Duke left 10 runners on base yesterday. Foul on the first base line. Conine stays alive. Early test for Beeline today. Very different inning than Ryan Day enjoyed. Already action down in the NC State bullpen. Beeline can really help his case with a strike here. The 1-2. Nice block from Bailey. The count evens at 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Most of the damage Conine has done at the plate this series has been to the opposite field. He does a great job extending his hands, taking outside pitches that way, and this at bat being worked more inside, fouling balls down the right field line.
The 2-2. Swung on and hit hard, deep right field. It is high, far and gone. Grand slam home run for Griffin Conine, and the Blue Devils lead 4-0 here in Game 3. I mentioned kicking the door open. That's certainly one way to do it.
Beeline working Conine inside in that at bat. He fouled a few balls down the right field line, and Beeline left that one too good. Conine made him pay with the grand slam here in the bottom of the first inning, and you've got to think, after his 3-hit day yesterday, Griffin Conine has found his stride offensively for this Duke team.
21st home run of Conine's career. That ties him for 13th all-time, and this was of the no-doubt variety. You don't get too many of those here at Jack Coombs Field, but right off the bat, he knew it was gone. Kind of a Ken Griffey Jr. finish there. As Beeline misses with the first pitch, actually first 2 pitches to Kenny Taylor. Nolan Clenny warming up for NC State. Clenny went 2 1/3 on Friday night through 45 pitches. Taylor sends that one to deep center. Tracking back is McLean. It's over his head. You mentioned the helping wind, Ron. I think that one surprised McLean a little bit. Never really took off in a dead sprint, and Kenny Taylor is in with a stand-up triple. Second time that Taylor has tripled in 3 days. Offensive explosion for Duke here in the bottom half of the first.
Kenny Taylor has plenty of speed, and he was rounding third base, ready to head for home. Got held up by the third base coach. What a swing. Rattled that one off the center field fence. Josh McLean just kept drifting and kept drifting. The wind kept carrying that ball out towards center. And watch Kenny Taylor round third base. He's ready. He's ready to score, but scampers back to the bag. Stand-up triple, and Duke is a double away from hitting for the cycle here in this bottom of the first inning. And there's only been 1 out recorded.
The story yesterday was the runners left on, Duke leaving opportunities to score runs at the table. Today, everybody that has reached base has come back home and into the dugout with a run scored. 4-0. And it could be an early finish. Michael Beeline will come out of the game. Only able to retire one Blue Devil today. Michael Smiklis will face Nolan Clenny when we come back. Excuse me, it's 30, not 39. So it's Matu Goatee that'll come in for the Wolfpack. And his job will be to try to stop the bleeding here in the bottom of the first inning. I'll give you the details on Goatee when we come back. Tough day for Beeline. Great day if you're wearing blue so far. Blue Devils off to a 4-0 lead. We'll be back with plenty more for the rest of Game 3 on ACC Network Extra. Certainly not the start that Michael Beeline had in mind. Everybody has those days from time to time, of course. One of those, that's baseball afternoons for Beeline. So I'm sure he'll turn the page, be ready to go for his next start. There is Goatee on the mound. On the season, 4.30 ERA, has not had a decision either way. This is his 11th appearance, 29 1/3 innings pitched, 14 earned runs, 23 strikeouts, and 9 walks. We close the book on Beeline's day, Ron. What's going through his mind right now? You know, like I said, Mama said there'd be days like this, and it's one of those days for him.
Well, Duke offensively has not had a very productive series until this bottom of the first inning, and perhaps Beeline took that for granted, left some pitches right over the plate. Certainly the Duke offense has made him pay, and he is on the bench now, having just pitched 1/3 of an inning.
The NC State starting pitching has been so good this weekend. A well-rested bullpen for Coach Elliott Avent. Goatee has started a pair of games this year. Opponent sitting 248 off of the right-hander. If you're the Wolfpack, best news is that you still have 8 more at-bats to try to make up 4 runs. Nearly 5 as that one just ends up drifting foul.
NC State feeling the sense of urgency. They've got their infield in on the cut of the grass, looking to attempt to gun down Kenny Taylor. If he attempts to score on a ground ball, Kenny Taylor most likely will see a ground ball through the infield. Meanwhile, at the plate, Michael Smiklis looking for something he can lift into the outfield for a sacrifice fly to score the run.
3 for 7 on the series is Smiklis. Behind in the count, 1-2. He looks at ball 2. Smiklis has the average up to 226. Been swinging a pretty good bat lately. 2 for 4 yesterday against a couple of lefties for the Wolfpack that are fairly stingy to left-handed hitters. That looked pretty stingy from Goatee, who retires Smiklis via the strikeout. That strands Taylor on third base. And Smiklis shares a word of advice for Max Miller, who gets ready to face Goatee in his first plate appearance of the afternoon.
Good two-seam fastball by Goatee on the outer part. Probably too close to take with 2 strikes, and Smiklis gave a whiff at it.
In steps Miller, did not start in Game 1, nursing a bit of a thumb injury day to day. Did play yesterday, back in the lineup today. That's a good sign for Duke. Miller, a .254 hitter. Maybe the best second base defender in America. Brings so much to the table for Duke. A leader as well. Much like Coach Elliott Avent, excited to have Stephen Patera back in the lineup today. Coach Chris Pollard loves having number 5's name listed in the lineup. Miller swings through that one. And Goatee ahead of Miller, 1-2.
This bottom of the first is the first Duke lead in this series. However, the run down at third base, very important. We saw NC State, 15 hits, 9 runs in game 1. No lead is safe against this Wolfpack team.
Swung on and missed. Goatee comes on and does his job. Back-to-back strikeouts to get the Wolfpack out of the inning, but Duke doing some damage. Most of it, all of it, in fact, if you're just talking about the runs. Off the bat of Griffin Conine, a grand slam home run, his 8th home run of the season. Blue Devils lead NC State 4-0 as we head to the top of the second. Here you see the wind blowing out to right center. Duke and NC State flags showcasing the weather. Conine out in right field, and no doubter to right field. In terms of his home run, first home run this weekend for either team, although could have had a couple of others if not for spectacular plays in left field. Ryan Day throws a strike on the second pitch to Evan Edwards. 1-2-3 inning in the first for the Wolfpack. Edwards batting .325. 3 for 7 thus far through the first 2 games of the weekend. And Edwards looks at strike 2. The 1-2 pitch. Extra bases down the right field line. Wolfpack hoping to cut into that 4-0 deficit here right away in the top of the second. Respond to that outburst for Duke in the bottom of the first. And Edwards does his part, leading things off with a double. Look at Edwards turning on that pitch from Ryan Day. That'll bring up Patrick Bailey. Bailey, a couple of hits in game 1. Took an 0 for 4 yesterday. Batting .311 on the season. That pitch misses. Bailey ahead in the count, 1-0. Coach Elliott Avon would love to see his team scratch across at least a run, especially now that the Wolfpack have a leadoff double here in the second. Start to regain some of the momentum in this game 3. Lifted to left center. Taylor drifts over, makes the catch. Edwards forced to retreat to second.
All of Patrick Bailey's success this weekend has been from the right-handed batter's box. He is a switch hitter. Had that big bases clearing triple back in game 1. Friday night picked up 3 RBIs. That time from the left side, a high fly ball to left field. No problem for Kenny Taylor.
Brock Deathridge to the plate. Only Josh McClain having a better series than Deathridge. Four for 8 thus far this weekend with an RBI. Still a runner on second, just 1 away. Day misses with the first pitch. There are the numbers on Deathridge for the season. The 1-0 from Day. Misses 2-0. Always feels so important that next half inning, when a team has a big inning like Duke, it would be huge, even if NC State were just to get a run back. Get your teeth into the game a little bit, and if Ryan Day come out here and put up a 0, get the offense back to work, almost doubles the impact of that 4-0 lead after 1.
That's right, shut down innings. That's what coaches preach. Anytime you score, you want to come out and throw up a zero, preserve those runs, and don't let the other team catch any momentum.
The 2-0 misses, and it's 3-0. Deathridge can be a bit more particular here. First base is open. Tatum on deck. Patera after that. Ryan Day, the converted infielder. The 3-0 pitch is in for a strike. Day sets and deals the 3-1. Swinging, lining that one back up the middle. Taylor giving chase. They will wave the runner around. And the Wolfpack does come up with a run here in the top of the second and start chipping away at that 4-0 deficit, as you would imagine they would respond. That's why NC State is littered about the top 5 in a variety of polls. Just not a team that is going to surrender.
Deathridge did a great job being patient in that at-bat, had a hitter's count, got a hitter's pitch, drove it right up the middle. No chance at the plate to catch Evan Edwards as State scratches across their first run. And we mentioned their offensive production Friday night. No lead is safe. Duke got all 4 of theirs with one swing of the bat. The grand slam by Conine, so NC State trying to scratch back into this one early.
So Deathridge at first, Terrell Tatum at the plate. 3 for 9 in the series, a run scored, couple of RBIs. That pitch misses. Duke bullpen gets going early here. Graham Stinson, the lefty. Short leashes perhaps for both starting pitchers today. Now 2-0 as Proctor jogs out to talk to Ryan Day.
Ryan Day is effective when he can mix it up. Today, falling behind to these NC State hitters.
There's Stinson, big lefty for Duke. Started 3 games this year. Appeared in 11 others. He can sling it up to the plate, 95, 96. Electric stuff when he's on. Can obviously give the Blue Devils some distance as well. Should Ryan Day run into more trouble here in the top of the second. Gets a swinging miss that time from Tatum. Makes the count 2-1.
That's the kind of swing a head coach likes to see when you're in a hitter's count. 2-0, got the pitch you wanted, took a big cut at it.
It's interesting. Goatee had to come on so quickly for NC State. I don't even know if he was fully warm yet. Actually went down to the bullpen after the inning and threw a couple more pitches. As Tatum swings through that one. Wolfpack were in such a hurry to get Beeline out of the game. It's almost like Goatee was throwing his warm-up pitches in the game. Struck out back-to-back hitters and finished up his warm-up down in the bullpen. Great job to get his team out of the inning without surrendering any more than 4 runs with Kenny Taylor at third and just 1 away. Wolfpack scratching one across here in the top of the second. Still an opportunity for more. Although Tatum no longer a part of the equation after staring at strike 3.
Ryan Day has a lot of zip on that fastball. He doesn't necessarily get the 2-seam run as we take another look. Looked like actually a breaking ball. Take another look. Called strike 3. Great job behind the plate. You see Chris Proctor get out front, catch that ball. Anytime you're catching and you're framing a breaking ball, you want to get out there, catch it, frame it before it takes too much of a dive. Let the umpire get a good look. Exactly what Proctor did.
Kevin Elsey behind the plate today. Chris Ward at first base. Danny Everett at second. Craig Barron at third. That one's in for a strike, so Day has settled down a little bit here.
And that's the key for Ryan Day. Pound the strike zone, attack hitters, early contact, use your defense. When he falls behind is when he usually gets hurt the most, leaving pitches too good, trying to climb his way back into a count.
Even though Ryan Day is a righty pitcher, he is very, very difficult to run off of. Fairly quick delivery, quick feet on the pickoff move. Has the athleticism you would think he would have, being a converted infielder. And that pitch catches the corner as Patera steps in. Just a single at-bat in the series thus far for Steven Patera. He was retired, I believe, on a single pitch in that at-bat yesterday. Getting the start today. Missed about 6 weeks after hurting his hamstring and having surgery earlier this year. Basically, day-to-day, tells Coach Avent when he feels like he can go. Gave him the thumbs up today. He's out from mid to late February to late March. First game back was the opener against Virginia Tech on March 29th. But he's been off and on since then, making his 9th start today. He'll face an 0-2 from Ryan Day. Runner bluffs going. Patera stays alive.
Down at first base, Brock Deathridge leads the team in stolen bases, 14 for 19 on the year. You mentioned Ryan Day's quick move to the plate. Sometimes 0-2, not a great count to steal him because the pitcher will try to leave a fastball high or way outside. It's a great pitch to throw on as a catcher. Don't always go off speed 0-2. Sometimes you burn a fastball, try to get a chase. See if Deathridge is in motion here.
Off speed, line drive, center field. Taylor looks like he's got a beat on it, and he does. Wolfpack do get a run here in the top of the second, so mission accomplished to some extent. Chiseling away at the deficit. Duke, though, takes a 3-run lead to the bottom half of inning number 2. Lebowski and then back to the top of the lineup with Heron and Proctor. Duke trying to win Game 3 of the weekend set against the NC State Wolfpack. Four-1 lead for Duke as they come to bat here in the second inning. Jack Lebowski steps to the plate. Lebowski 1 for 7 thus far in the first 2 games. Fouls that pitch away. Goatee has come on and done the job. 2/3 of an inning. 9 pitches to get 2 strikeouts as things look to be getting away from the Wolfpack in the bottom of the first. Beeline ineffective in his start. Goatee called in on short notice. Warmed up quickly. Back out here for more work. Ball's behind Lebowski, 2-1. Crushed, but foul. If you're wondering what kind of distance Goatee could give NC State today, has gone 5 innings on 2 different occasions this year. Has not thrown more than 69 pitches, though. That was against Virginia Tech, 5-inning outing. As the count goes full to Lebowski.
Goatee stepping in for Beeline, who had the rough start, has done exactly what his head coach had hoped for. When your starter has such a short outing, you really hope the next guy can come and settle everything down. Goatee's been able to do that so far as Lebowski will draw the walk.
Lebowski able to check his swing at that pitch inside. Trots down to first with a leadoff walk for Duke. Already Duke has batted around as Herron will step to the plate for his second appearance of the afternoon. Popped out in one pitch. Was the only batter that that Beeline retired before Goatee came in. And Herron takes a ball. High and tight. Herron ducks out of the way.
Goatee having a little trouble with the strike zone here early in the bottom of the second inning. Walt Lebowski, 2 balls in a row, nearly hit Herron with that pitch.
The 2-0 also misses, and it's 3-0.
Herron will be taken all the way on this one on deck. Chris Proctor handles the bat very, very well.
In for a strike. Wonder if Herron will be taking again here as he gets the sign. Lebowski off and running, and that was ball 4. So he can slow down, and Herron trots down to first. Back-to-back walks after back-to-back strikeouts for Goatee. This will be interesting to see what Duke does here with nobody out. Proctor can handle the bat. A 3-run lead. Duke can either look to explode for another big inning, or perhaps just try to incrementally add to that 4-1 lead right now. What would you do in this situation?
Well, you get the feeling that this game, 4 runs may not hold up to win this game. We've seen NC State's offense. I think tacking on runs one at a time is going to be very crucial for Duke. And it looks like they will situationally try to move the runners around. We've seen Duke multiple times in this series already, unable to get down sacrifice bunts. Saw it happen yesterday. Foul ball on an attempted sacrifice. Chris Proctor not able to get that bunt down.
Proctor lifts that one down the left field line this time, so it's 0-2, and that may take the bunt scenario completely out of play. Mentioned Nolan Clenny before. It is Clenny now warming up for the Wolfpack down the right field line. Goatee ahead of Proctor, 0-2 with nobody out. Cone on deck. That pitch misses. And it's 1-2. You saw Clenny a moment ago. Again, for those that missed it before, 2 1/3 innings pitched. No runs allowed in game 1 through 45 pitches. Got the day off yesterday. It was Brown, Kleiman, and O'Donnell combining to hold the Blue Devils to a run in game 2.
Proctor's job has now changed. We saw him miss the opportunity to lay down the sacrifice bunt. Looking for something now that he can lift deep into the outfield. Out at second base, give Jack Lebowski a chance to tag up, advance to third. If he gets to third with less than 2 outs, a chance to drive him in using an out.
The 1-2. Staying alive, Proctor. That one was probably 1.5 feet outside the zone. Just reached with every inch of his arms and bat to foul that one away.
Meanwhile, if you're Goatee on the mound, you want to pound the lower part of the strike zone, try to get Proctor to roll over a ground ball. A well-placed ground ball to the defense could result in a double play.
The 1-2 misses, and it's 2-2. Goatee, after a sharp start, has been a bit wild here in his second inning of work. Time called with Lebowski on second, Herron on first. Extra base hit, probably scores 2 with Herron's speed. Proctor batting .320 with runners on this year. The 2-2 pitch. Towards second, stepping on the bag. 1. How about a double play off the pitcher? Goatee took that one. He's trying to walk it off right now, but NC State Perhaps getting a bit lucky there. Turns the double play regardless.
Another look, hit right off the leg of Goatee, and what a great NC State bounce that ball took right to the shortstop, Will Wilson, who takes it to second himself and fires across the diamond. And a great break there for the NC State defense just when you thought Duke may have an opportunity to tack on another run. And you look back early in that at-bat for Chris Proctor, his inability to get that sacrifice bunt down eventually resulted in a 2-strike count where he then doesn't have an option to lay down a bunt. And suddenly NC State's able to roll the double play. So perhaps the inability of Proctor to get that sacrifice down could result in the losing an opportunity to tack another run onto this Duke lead.
Goatee will take a couple of warm-up pitches under the watchful eye of Elliott Avent and the training staff for NC State. About the only guy that isn't feeling lucky about that is Goatee. But instead of second and third, potentially with one away, if Proctor is successful with the bunt, instead only one runner on third and 2 outs. So Cone will have to come out and come up with a 2-out hit if Duke is going to add to its lead. First pitch to Cone is inside for a ball. The 1-0 in for a strike.
Feels like a big spot right now for the Duke offense, and Zach Cone, NC State, doesn't give much. Gave Duke 2 free base runners to start the inning. Nobody out. Duke unable to capitalize thus far. A hit here would do the job.
The 1-1 blocked nicely by Bailey.
Great footwork behind the plate by Patrick Bailey. A lot of guys will turn and throw their glove at that one and just try to pick it. Instead, he used his feet and his hips to throw himself into the left-handed batter's box and get a body in front of that ball.
The 2-1 pounded into the ground. High hop. Wilson, plenty of time. NC State and Matu Goatee come up with the goods. First and second, nobody out for the Blue Devils. Second day in a row they have not been able to score in that scenario. But still, Duke leads by 3 as Cooper, McLean, and Kinnaman are set to come to the plate for the NC State Wolfpack. Duke trying to salvage a game of the 3-game set against their crosstown rival.
Today on ESPN and FS1.
Dylan Cooper set to lead things off for the Wolfpack, 1 for 6 through the first 2 games. Ryan Day, first pitch, is hit into fairly deep center field. Nothing that Kenny Taylor can't handle. Quickly 1 away. Seeing the Wolfpack try to jump on pitches early against Day today.
Usually NC State very effective. We've seen them in this series. A lot of first pitch swings from this Wolfpack offense.
So here's McLean, who in a historic upset actually made an out in his first at-bat. 0 for 1 on the day. Average drops to a mere .363 on the season. Felt the full brunt of that foul pitch, though. Been a physical first couple of innings for the Wolfpack. Goatee got drilled by a line drive. McLean trying to shake off that pitch that he fouled off of his body. The 0-1 to the Wolfpack center fielder misses, and it's 1-1. Swung on and missed.
We were told coming into the day Ryan Day would be on a pitch count. He's at 32 so far. Duke still with some light action down in the bullpen just in case he runs into more trouble or perhaps reaches that maximum pitch total that Chris Pollard is looking for today.
Did not look like McLean offered at that. And Chris Ward down the first base line agrees and confirms. 2-2 the count. Fouled away. Hey, heads up. Brett Kinnaman. Evan Justice getting warm for NC State down the right field line. Talked about Stinson already. Two-two pitch misses. Figures to be a day of bullpen management for both sides. Again, regardless of how well Day is throwing the ball, unlikely to go too far into this game on a pitch count. Michael Beeline, for those that missed it, only got one batter out before having to be replaced, so NC State already into their relief staff as McLean is retired, looking by Ryan Day. 2 outs here in the top of the third.
McLean stunned by that Ryan Day slider. Had no idea it would break that far. Let's take another look. That wasn't a slider at all. That looked like maybe a changeup. Definitely off speed, but had some serious tail. Ran right from over the plate in on his hands and perhaps a little bit disgruntled with that strike 3 call. There's that same pitch again. See it start over the middle of the plate, tail down and away.
Kinnaman takes a strike. The count is 1-1. And now 2-1.
We've seen Duke play the shift on Kinnaman all weekend. Zach Cohn out at short, playing in the outfield grass directly behind second base. Max Miller shaded to the right slightly, 10 paces into the outfield.
Day misses and the count is 3-1. Yeah, not only a shift, but a shift toward the first base side of the infield and back deep.
I'm not sure what Duke would do if he laid a bunt down the third baseline. I mean, there was nobody in that area code.
Might get a double. The 3-1 won't matter. Kinnaman trots down to first. The inning extends to include Will Wilson. As the infielders return to their traditional spots on the field. Wilson flew out in the first inning. First pitch to Wilson. Misses. Ball and no strikes to the NC State shortstop. Now 3 for 9. 3 runs scored, a double, a triple, 2 RBIs. Great series for Wilson thus far. The 1-0 pitch misses and it's 2-0. Wilson, a one-man show in game 2. Driving in and scoring the only 2 runs for the Wolfpack. Day deals the 2-0. That's in for a strike. Wolfpack have not been pleased with how the inside corner has been called by Kevin Elzey today.
After the walk issued to Kinnaman, a couple balls earlier to Wilson in this at-bat. The Duke bullpen and Graham Stinson going from warm to hot.
And the 2-1, lifted toward right again. Conine drifting into right center. Off goes the hat. Ball into the glove, and that'll do it for the Wolfpack in the top of the third. Day gets his man. Duke has a lead. Loperfido, Conine, and Taylor. Conine, the big blast in his first at-bat. He'll try to do more damage and add to a 3-run lead. Blue Devils looking for a win here in Game 3 at Jack Coombs Field. 3 out of the next 4 batters for Duke due up, lefties. So Coach Elliott Avent makes the move to Evan Justice, the southpaw. There you see the numbers on Justice. For Goatee, Matu Goatee, an inning and 2/3 pitched. Came on with a runner on third and 1 away in the bottom of the first. Got back-to-back strikeouts, pitched himself into and out of trouble in the second inning through a total of 31 pitches in relief of Michael Beeline. And so now the baton passed to Evan Justice, who will try to continue to put up zeros and allow the NC State offense and its team batting average of .306 try to get to Ryan Day and the rest of the Duke staff. 10th appearance of the season for Justice. Loperfido, the first batter he will face. Line drive into left. That one bounces in front of Kinnaman. So a leadoff hit for the freshman. That'll bring up Griffin Conine. No bigger hit in this game than Conine's grand slam in the bottom of the first, providing all of the Duke runs so far. His 8th home run of the season. Now 29 RBIs. Talked yesterday about how he was on the verge of breaking out of his slump. 3 for 4 in Game 2. Ron, I know you love the way he was going the other way and up the middle, and then pulled one down the right field line, and no doubter. That gave Duke some wiggle room here in Game 3, sorry.
Certainly not a one-dimensional hitter. We've seen him go the other way early in this series, kind of caught his groove, then got a pitch on the inside corner in the bottom of the first and hammered it over the right field wall.
The 0-1 fouled away. So Justice well ahead of the Duke right fielder. Loperfido a threat to run. 8 stolen bases in 12 attempts. The 0-2 to Conine. Another nice block by Bailey. Loperfido caught a bit off first. Bailey tried to cut him down. Loperfido dives back.
We've seen Conine go the other way plenty in this series, which leaves me a little bit puzzled as to why NC State playing such a strong shift. 2 infielders on the right side where second base is normally played. Dylan Cooper out at short.
The 1-2. Especially pitching him outside like that, if he was to make contact, that's really the only place he could put the ball. It's even a more exaggerated shift than Duke is playing on Kinnaman. You talked about how there was nobody in the area code if he were to lay down a bunt. Certainly wouldn't expect Conine to lay one down here, but the point remains the same. The 2-2 pitch. Conine hits that one a mile high behind second base. Wilson, the shortstop, handles it in shallow right center. So there's one away. Kenny Taylor comes to the plate. Tripled in his first at-bat. 3rd triple of the season for Taylor. As Justice checks on Loperfido. Off and running is Loperfido. The throw down to second in time. Did Loperfido keep his hand or body on the bag? He did. Duke is a runner in scoring position. Throw just to the shortstop side of second base from Bailey.
Another look at the pitch. We got a fastball on the outer part. Tough throw to make a tag on there. Trying to see if he came off the bag. Elliott Avent coming out to discuss.
There's his foot. I think he's off the bag. The glove stayed on.
At one point, he had 2 points of contact on the bag, a foot and a hand, and then all of a sudden, as if he just slid a little too far, had a little too much momentum, and he was hovering over the bag, but somehow no part of his body was touching, at least from the camera angle we just saw. We'll see if this is a reviewable play. The umpires get together to discuss.
I've had a chance to call quite a few games now at Jack Coombs Field, and this is something that base runners seem to have a hard time managing. You're so used to the friction in close to the bases with dirt, and the turf is so much more slick. You see guys over-sliding bags all the time. Just a question of whether his right hand and thumb somehow kept contact with the bag. The rest of his body certainly was off, and it certainly looked like Patera kept his glove on the back of Loperfido as the discussion continues. Andy Perez, one of the best base stealers in the history of the ACC, would consistently slide over the bag. And you wonder how it happened as often as it did, but it's such a different surface than guys are used to sliding on that you can somewhat understand why they make the mistake.
And it can change every day just depending on the humidity, the moisture in the air, perhaps a little bit of precipitation. And talking to Patrick Bailey coming into this series, NC State practiced sliding on the turf and wanted to get their guys familiar with, hey, when you come in and you slide, get used to how much further you're going to go as opposed to a natural surface. And actually Friday night we had a good laugh. Bailey hit that bases clearing triple in left center field, slid into third base and started his slide so early, predicting that he would propel himself all the way to the bag. Actually came up a few feet short. Luckily, Duke not able to get the ball in on time, and NC State catcher had a funny laugh about that. But the point is, it's something you have to practice, and if you're not familiar with it, it can be tricky. This Duke team obviously should be familiar with it. There, I don't think it was as much over-sliding the bag as it was just the awkward position he ended up in and perhaps lost contact with the second base.
As it stands, it's the 9th stolen base of the season for Loperfido. Duke has a runner at second with one away, and Kenny Taylor at the plate with a 1-0 count. Obviously a big call here. Justice trying to stay warm. Mentioned that thumb, really the only question at this point. That one angle we looked at from dead on, it was hard to tell. There was an angle from in behind or from the side. I thought you got a better look at that right hand. Obviously, the umpires will take a look at all of the angles available to them. Again, I've heard this a million times now, all the replay that's been instituted in basically every sport. Got to be conclusive. That guy knows. Probably the only person on the field that knows for sure whether or not he's safe or out.
Big call coming up here. Kenny Taylor, the man in the batter's box, tripled in this game, tripled Friday night. Definitely a threat for extra base hits, which would easily drive Loperfido in from second. Loperfido also a guy, you mentioned his ability to steal bases. Coming into this game, 8 for 12. Opportunity to perhaps swipe third here if he's able to get a good jump and end up down there with less than 2 outs. And then just a ground ball or deep pop fly will drive him in.
4-1 the score. Duke 5 hits.
Wonder how honest they're being with each other out there.
It'd be a good place to have a mic, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So the call stands. Interesting call. So it will remain the 9th stolen base of the season for Loperfido. Here's the other look. Key being the right hand. Does it stay on the bag? Super slow motion worked out. Hard to tell there, the right foot. Gosh. Depends how long the thumb is. And that's just it. And there's the stolen base you just talked about, Ron. Loperfido perhaps catching a break and being granted second base. It says, let's leave no doubt. So now he is at third with less than 2 away. A 1-1 count to Taylor. Suddenly the infield has to come in. 10 stolen bases on the season for Loperfido, including back-to-back steals. Taylor swings through that one, so Justice a strike away from getting out number 2. A lot happening here the last few minutes.
So look at the NC State infield in on the grass, trying to cut Loperfido down at the plate, assuming a ground ball is hit in their direction.
The 1-2 bounces. Another block by Bailey. He's had a couple of those, 2 of which I believe have saved a run.
I get the sense that the replay maybe lulled the NC State defense and especially Justice to sleep a little bit. They forgot about Loperfido out at second base, and the very first pitch after.
2-2 is fouled away.
Loperfido took off to third. 2 stolen bases in a row for the young man, and now he's in scoring position, less than 2. Kenny Taylor looking for something he can drive to the outfield here.
I think that was your classic inconclusive replay. Not enough to overturn. The 2-2 swung on and missed. Taylor nearly screwed himself into the ground on that one.
Duke has done a very poor job situationally hitting in this series. We've seen them miss opportunities to sacrifice. They foul them off. They bunt through them. And with runner on third base with less than 2 outs, we've seen way too many strikeouts from this Duke offense. Taylor chases that one well into the dirt. You see Patrick Bailey do another good job behind the plate, corralling that breaking ball that bounced right around the home plate mark.
6th strikeout of the weekend for Taylor. So 2 triples and 6 strikeouts. Interesting weekend for the Duke center fielder, Loperfido. He's stolen second and third. Probably hard to ask him to steal home at this point. It's going to take something from Smickless, you would think. Bailey looks too good defensively to let one slide by. The 1-0 towards second. Patera handles that one easily. And once again, the Wolfpack keep the Blue Devils from tacking on runs. You mentioned the situational hitting. Griffin Conine has masked the issues thus far this game with his first inning grand slam. Get the sense, though, the Wolfpack offense not going to be held to 1 run today. Edwards, Bailey, and Deathridge will try to continue the comeback as NC State looks for the sweep this weekend in Durham. Graham Stinson on in relief of Ryan Day. 3 innings pitched for the Duke starter, 45 pitches in total. The 2018 ACC Baseball Championship gets underway on May 22nd at the Durham Bulls Athletic Park in Durham, North Carolina. It all culminates with the championship game on May 27th on ESPN2. Tickets, you can go to theacc.com. Duke figures to carry a pretty high seed into that tournament, as well as NC State. We knew we'd see the Duke bullpen at some point today, given the restriction on Ryan Day, and whether it was because of pitches or other variables that weighed into the decision. 3 innings is all for the right-hander, and an entirely different look for NC State to have to deal with now. The big lefty Stinson comes on. There you see the strikeouts to innings pitched. Lights out stuff for Stinson when he's on. Edwards, Bailey, and Deathridge due up. First appearance for Stinson in the series. Overall appearance number 15 for him on the year. Opponents hitting less than 200 off of Graham Stinson this year. Got to figure the plan for Duke is Stinson to some kind of combination of DeCaster and Lebowski. Trying to get 6 innings out of those 3. Try to get a win here in Game 3. Wolfpack obviously have other ideas as they look for the sweep. Edwards doubled and came around to score NC State's only run in the second. Frozen rope down the right field line for extra bases to lead things off in that inning. First pitch from Stinson misses. You mentioned the situational hitting issues for Duke. 1 for 7 already. Already 7 at bats with runners in scoring position in 3 innings. Duke only successful once. 2 for 9 in total with runners on. Stinson throws a strike. This could easily be 5-1, 6-1. Which feels a whole lot different than a 3-run margin, particularly with these NC State bats.
Yeah, a couple opportunities to move runners over for the Blue Devils and then drive them in with less than 2 outs. And on top of that, have not been lucky enough to capitalize on 2-out opportunities at the plate.
The 1-1. Looked like Edwards held up. And that is the signal from Craig Barron.
Stinson, a rather hard-throwing left-handed pitcher. Can reach the low to mid-90s. Good breaking stuff. Good, hard, heavy fastball.
The 2-1 toward Miller at second. Gobbles that one up, as he so often does, and there's one away.
Good job working down in the zone there to Evan Edwards, who doubled and scored back in the top of the second inning. Stinson got the better of him there with a pitch located down in the zone, right where he likes to live. Pitch down in the zone, down around the knees, the bottom half of the strike zone, get a lot of ground ball outs. Duke with a top 10 fielding percentage in the country, very sound defensively, so Stinson not afraid to use his defense.
Bailey flew out in his only other plate appearance today. Big-time breaking ball from Stinson, misses 1-0. Duke infield defense for the most part, back to the edge where the brown and green turf meet. The 1-0 from Stinson. Outside 2-0.
Patrick Bailey facing Ryan Day in his first at-bat. Flew out to center field, but from the other batter's box, batting left-handed, he switched it around to the right side now to face the left-handed throwing Stinson.
The 2-0 is strike one.
Loperfido, the Duke first baseman, playing really tight to the right field line. Deep, right on the cut of the grass in the outfield and shaded to his left.
The 2-1 pitch, waved at by Bailey. It's 2-2.
Bailey's a guy that likes to sit on a pitch. We've seen him get fooled a few times in this series and take that half swing we just saw. Obviously, Stinson threw something in there Bailey was not expecting.
The 2-2. And the count works full. Bailey, a switch hitter, really adds a lot of balance to the lineup for NC State. Helps break up the lefties. Without him, there'd be potentially 4 in a row today in the lineup as he swings through that pitch. Edwards a lefty, then Bailey, Dethridge, Tatum, Patera, all lefties as well. But there's 2 away in the top of the 4th now as Stinson gets his first strikeout of the afternoon.
Another look at strike 3, a hard fastball slightly up in the zone. Patrick Bailey with a good swing on it, but unable to make contact. Not necessarily a 2-strike approach. Took a big cut at that one, and Stinson blew it by him.
RBI single for Dethridge here this afternoon as he takes a strike from Stinson. Dethridge 5 for 9 now in the series. Great weekend. A couple of RBIs. toward Miller. And that's usually bad news for the offense. Still without an error on the season is Max Miller. Duke, a 4-0 lead after one. NC State has only been able to answer with one thus far. Miller, Lebowski, and Heron will try to add to him. There'll be potentially 4 in a row today in the lineup as he swings through that pitch. Edwards a lefty, then Bailey, Dethridge, Tatum, Patera, all lefties as well. But there's 2 away in the top of the 4th now as Stinson gets his first strikeout of the afternoon.
Another look at strike 3, a hard fastball slightly up in the zone. Patrick Bailey with a good swing on it, but unable to make contact. Not necessarily a 2-strike approach. Took a big cut at that one, and Stinson blew it by him.
RBI single for Dethridge here this afternoon as he takes a strike from Stinson. Dethridge 5 for 9 now in the series. Great weekend. A couple of RBIs. Toward Miller. And that's usually bad news for the offense. Still without an error on the season is Max Miller. Duke, a 4-0 lead after one. NC State has only been able to answer with one thus far. Miller, Lebowski, and Heron will try to add to a 3-run lead when we return on ACC Network Extra. Max Miller with a couple of plays at second to help Duke through the top of the 4th. He will lead things off in the bottom half now. Struck out in his first plate appearance. And Justice steals a strike. Justice, depending on effectiveness, probably good for another inning or 2. Has not gone more than 2 1/3 thus far this year as he misses inside with that pitch, and it's 2-1. Hasn't thrown more than 48 pitches on the season. The 2-1, grounded toward third. A fair ball fielded by Cooper across the diamond in time, and Miller is retired to lead off the bottom of the 4th.
Wolfpack bullpen has done a good job since coming on in relief of Beeline. Both Goatee and Justice have held Duke to just 1 hit. Goatee did issue a couple of walks back in the bottom of the 2nd inning, but the Wolfpack defense able to bail him out with the double play.
Yeah, Goatee took a baseball off the body that caromed to one of his infielders. Ended up being a double play. Lebowski fouls that pitch away and falls quickly behind. 0-2.
That 1 hit the NC State bullpen has given up was to Loperfido. Loperfido proceeded to steal second base. We had a review on that play, steal third base, and was eventually stranded.
Nasty stuff as Justice handles Lebowski. The Duke third baseman staring at strike 3.
Another look at strike 3 to Lebowski. Big time breaking ball from the arm of Justice. Started in the left-handed batter's box. And just big sweeping motion. Back door breaking ball for strike 3.
Heron takes ball 1. And ball 2. That one's in for a strike to Jimmy Herron. Only player in Duke history with 50-plus doubles and 50-plus stolen bases in his career. As Justice works back to a full count. Herron top 25 in program history, on-base percentage, doubles, a number of different stats. That time, though, can't drive the ball past McLean. Quick inning for Justice. Tatum, Patera, and Cooper will lead things off in what NC State hopes will be a productive offensive top of the fifth here in Game 3 in Durham. Top 10 matchup between NC State and Duke in the ACC. Graham Stinson back out to the mound. Scoreless first inning of work. Nine to 2 in Game 1 in favor of NC State. And then the Wolfpack won a pitcher's duel in Game 2. It brings us to today. Duke, a quick start. Grand slam in the bottom of the first for Griffin Conine has supplied all of the offense for the Blue Devils. NC State answered with one in the top of the second, but that is all they have been able to come up with against the combination of Ryan Day and Graham Stinson. Both starting pitchers already out of the game. Likely voluntary for Duke. Whereas Michael Beeline going a third of an inning, certainly not part of the game plan for Coach Elliot Avent and the NC State Wolfpack. Matugo T came on. Slammed the door on Duke in the bottom of the first. He and Evan Justice have combined to keep Duke off of the scoreboard since that one big swing from Conine. And into the top of the fifth now. Terrell Tatum, who struck out looking in the second inning, back for his second plate appearance. High and tight, 2-0.
Stinson with the 1-2-3 inning back in the top of the fourth. Retired Edwards, Bailey, and Deathridge. Quickly falling behind 2-0 here. Stinson with the good hard fastball. Can throw a four-seam and a two-seam. Pitches from the stretch all the time, as you see from that camera angle.
Tatum has worked the count 3-0. Imagine he would be taking here. Leading off the fifth. There's Patera on the on-deck circle. And the 3-0 in for a strike.
NC State has been at their best offensively in this series, either early in the count or in hitters' counts.
Swinging 3-1. Stinson overpowers Tatum on that one. Wolfpack phenomenal with 2 outs in Game 1. At least 5 of the 9 runs scored with 2 away. Relentless offense Friday night. Stinson's work back to a full count against Tatum and then misses. So a leadoff walk to the NC State DH. Steven Patera into the lineup today in the 8th spot after pinch hitting yesterday. And now being pinch hit for by JT Jarrett. So Patera hitting against the righty Day. Jarrett hitting against the lefty Stinson. Yesterday was any indication that'll be a straight swap with Barrett replacing Patera at second base defensively. Jarrett 0 for 6 in the series. Stinson, a slow delivery to the plate, completely different than Ryan Day. He is a much easier target to run off of. See how Duke tries to manage the running game with him on the rubber.
Tatum, the Wolfpack base runner at first, 7 for 9 stolen base attempts on the year. Pretty good success rate.
Would not be surprised to see NC State try to do something here. The 0-1. Jarrett lays down the bunt. Stinson fields his position and tosses it on the backhand to Loperfido, one away. Good bunt from Jarrett. NC State has had 2 or 3 of those this series placed in a perfect spot. Stinson, though, able to get off the mound in a hurry. At least get one out. Couldn't really figure out. You could tell Stinson was trying to figure out how to get the ball over to first. Eventually just sort of flicked it over there.
It looked like he was trying to avoid fielding it and doing the full spin to square his shoulders. Instead, elected for the backhanded flip. Almost didn't get there in time. JT Jarrett hustling down the line. A very nicely executed sacrifice bunt will put a runner in scoring position for the Wolfpack.
Cooper at the plate, who flew out in the 3rd. There goes the runner from 2nd. Proctor, a good throw, but not in time. Really nothing that he was going to be able to do on that, and there is the issue for Stinson. A lengthy delivery. Runner 2/3 of the way to third base by the time the pitch is delivered practically. So a 1-0 count, and now a runner at third with less than 2 away.
NC State now with their opportunity to situationally hit.
I wonder if that was the plan all along for Elliott Avent, to bunt Tatum to 2nd and then have him steal 3rd. As Cooper takes a strike, basically a 2-base bunt in that scenario.
And swapping JT Jarrett for Steven Pitara worked great. Jarrett can handle the bat very well. We saw him lay down that nice sacrifice, and State now with the chance to score a run using an out here. Lebowski down at 3rd for Duke is on the cut of the grass.
The 1-1 swung on, foul tipped. Stinson does have big-time strikeout stuff, so if there's somebody on the Duke staff that can get it out without allowing contact, it is Stinson.
This is where you'll see Stinson's best stuff here. First base is open. He's way ahead in the count, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Look for him to dig deep for a hard-breaking slider or maybe a fastball outside of the zone and get him to chase something.
30 strikeouts in now 37 starts. Make it 31 for Cooper. Just about to mention he is a strikeout candidate, and Stinson proves me prophetic in that instance. Now 2 away.
Great breaking ball from the arm of Stinson. Take another look at this one. Very, very sharp break. Looked like it was going to be well outside of the strike zone, and sweeping motion back in right to the glove of Chris Proctor. So NC State, like Duke, with a strikeout, runner on third base, less than 2 outs, unable to drive him in.
But McLean takes care of that. Extra bases. Conine cuts it off from getting all the way to the corner and possibly preventing a triple. How good is Josh McLean? Doesn't matter the count, the number of outs, the situation. He is an absolute hitting machine. Goes the other way that time for an RBI double. Get the sense of why Coach Elliott Avent said he's the most consistent center fielder he's ever had, which is saying a whole lot, but I don't know how you could argue with it.
Just when you thought Stinson was going to work himself out of the inning, picked up the big strikeout against Cooper to pick up the 2nd out. Still, Tatum stood down at third base, and with 2 outs, that's really been the difference in this series. 2-out hitting by the Wolfpack with runners in scoring position. Josh McLean able to get it done and pick up the RBI.
Duke situationally has not been good today, and it's the reason why they still only have 4 runs. NC State, on the other hand, a 2-out hit here, helping to close the gap. Back to within 2. Still plenty of time left in this game, obviously. Just the top of the 5th inning. Duke bullpen up again, though not throwing. Here is Brett Kinnaman, who flew out in the 1st and walked in his most recent plate appearance in the 3rd inning. Tap towards Stinson. He'll jog over to first and underhand it the rest of the way. McLean delivers the 2-out RBI as the Wolfpack continue to chip away at what was once a 4-0 deficit. Duke still leads by 2. Proctor, Cone, and Loperfido will try to add to the margin when we come back with the bottom of the 5th on ACC Network Extra. Hometown Blue Devils lead 4-2 over top 5 NC State. Wolfpack with a run in the top of the 2nd and one in the top of the 5th have cut what was at one time a 4-run deficit in half. Wolfpack relievers have done what they needed to do. Between Goatee and Justice, they have shut down the Duke offense, given up some walks, but have prevented Duke from scoring any runs. Just 1 hit allowed in 3 2/3 innings, make it 2 as Proctor leads off the bottom of the 5th with a single. Getting runners on has not been the issue. That goes for yesterday and today. It's getting them around the base paths and home that has been a bit more of a problem.
Chris Proctor, a nice piece of hitting, pulling that ball to the right center field gap. Nice hard hit line drive, and you make a great point. Duke has plenty of hits in this game. That's their 6th. We've seen them put plenty of base runners on throughout the series, but moving them around and driving them in has been the issue.
That pitch way outside to Zach Cone, who singled and came around to score in the 1st before grounding out in the 2nd. Throw over to first, as Edwards is forced to hop over Proctor to retrieve the throw.
Proctor teasing Justice over there with some little jab steps as if he's going to be in motion.
Another throw over. The 1-0, way outside again. 2-0, and Bailey wants to have a chat. Nobody warming for NC State in the bullpen. Justice 31 pitches into his relief outing. Through a couple of innings of scoreless baseball with 2 strikeouts against North Carolina on Tuesday. Way high that time, and Cone in a commanding position here. 3-0, and with that, Nolan Clenny begins warming once again in the NC State bullpen. He was up earlier, sat back down. Cone steps away from that one. And it's 3-1. There's Clenny. Loperfido and Conine, 2 lefties due up. Clenny a right-hander, Justice a lefty out on the mound. Justice loses his man. 2 Blue Devils reach to start the bottom of the 5th. Wonder if that'll be it for Justice, or if he will stay on to face Loperfido, the left-hander. Elliott Avent giving all of these options consideration right now.
Avent tends to lean towards the matchups. He loves a left-handed pitcher facing a left-handed Duke hitter, and it looks like things will remain as they were until I say that. Now here comes Elliott Avent.
Or they won't. As Avent takes the long, slow walk toward the mound. Perhaps even somebody predisposed to liking lefty versus lefty. Even he maybe saw enough from Justice there. Really wasn't close to the strike zone on most of those pitches to Cone.
Interesting position now for the Duke offense. They've seen themselves in this position many times in the series, have really yet to do a job moving runners with nobody out on first and second over to second and third, driving them in, using it out, and we'll see what they elect to do here. Loperfido obviously handles the bat very well. Freshman very disciplined at the plate, and the man behind him, Conine, has had a great series. We saw his grand slam in the bottom of the first, picked up all the RBIs for Duke in this game thus far.
We will have a pitching change. Loperfido has yet to be retired today. Walked in the first, singled in the third. A couple of stolen bases, one of which was reviewed. That'll be the end of the afternoon for Evan Justice. On comes Nolan Clenny for the second time in the series. We'll tell you more about his outing on Friday and his season as a whole when we come back. Runners on first and second for the Blue Devils with nobody out in the bottom of the fifth. Duke trying to add to what is a 2-run lead here in Durham. There's Nolan Clenny. 2 1/3 innings Friday night in the NC State 9-2 win. He and Reed Johnston combined for a 6-hitter. Clenny did not give up a run, struck out 4, walked 2. Took him 45 pitches to get through 2 1/3. The numbers on Clenny the rest of the season. Ron, you and I were talking during the break. This is 2, maybe even 3 times this weekend. Duke has had multiple runners on base and nobody out. Their ability to come through in these situations has been lacking to this point, but another opportunity with the freshman Loperfido. We'll see what he is asked to do with Griffin Conine in behind him. If you bunt here, perhaps leave first base open. What does NC State elect to do with the Duke lefty power hitter? Loperfido squares to bunt and fouls it away. Second time today. Proctor and now Loperfido. The Duke has not been able to get down the bunt on the first pitch. Plenty of speed on the base paths. Loperfido squares around again. Gets the bunt down right at the pitcher this time, but Loperfido does his job. Moves the runners up, and now a couple of runners in scoring position for a guy that's been cold for much of the year but as hot as anybody this weekend. Hard to say. Also, Conine might be getting a bit of a bad rap here. Came into the weekend with 7 home runs. Hard to say that a guy has been stone cold, but the expectations were so high for Conine this year that he ends up dealing with a lot of that talk. Fair to say, though, that he's underperformed, I'm sure, even the expectations for himself. And there is the scenario that I laid out just a second ago. They will intentionally walk Griffin Conine. Talk about respect. I know what he's done the last couple of days, but average still at 231. And NC State will walk Griffin Conine. Everybody in the ballpark still aware of what he can do. And in case anybody needed a reminder, he gave it to them in the bottom of the first.
NC State electing to challenge Kenny Taylor. Kenny Taylor does have 2 triples in this series. One came in the bottom of the first inning, directly behind that Griffin Conine home run. He struck out back in the bottom of the third, and this walk to Conine will load the bases. It'll also put the double play in order. I imagine the NC State corner infielders will be on the cut of the grass. Anything hit hard to them on the ground. The first leg of the double play will be to Patrick Bailey at home to cut down the run. Anything hit up the middle of the infield will be at double play depth. And a double play will take State out of the inning. That no-brainer here is Clenny has a little trouble executing the pitch out. It's harder than people think. You've got a catcher standing up, throwing his glove out to the left, taking a few hops, and you've got to hit him in the chest. And it's a play that can easily be messed up, and it adds a little bit of nerve when you've got a runner down at third base.
Bailey's blocking pitches, even unintentional walks. It's the argument against sort of waving 4 fingers and putting a guy on first base, because you do still have to execute the 4 pitches. Taylor Lifts the ball into shallow right. Charging it, Deathridge. Will they test the arm? They will. A couple of hopper, and Proctor slides in. Throw gets away. Runners will advance. So Taylor does not get a lot of mustard on that one, but enough. Just enough to score Proctor from third. With 2 away, Duke adds to its lead here in the bottom of the 5th. So nearly able to execute exactly what they had hoped. The NC State Wolfpack. But the throw from Deathridge caught a little too much turf. And the Taylor pop-up got just enough air.
That's the situational hitting we've been looking for Duke in this game. The sacrifice bunt to move the runners over. Intentional walk to Conine. And then Kenny Taylor does a job hitting the ball into right field. Great slide there by Chris Proctor. And really a mental mistake there. You see Nolan Clenny, the NC State pitcher, not in position to back up that throw to home. Because of that, the 2 Duke base runners able to move up. So second and third now for Duke rather than first and second.
Bailey blocks another one. So Conine at second now, Cone at third. Smickless at the plate. Boy, Bailey is going to need an ice bath in the 7th inning at this rate.
Neither catcher in this series has a pass ball. They've both done a phenomenal job behind the plate. Chris Proctor, the veteran for the Blue Devils. Patrick Bailey, the freshman for the Wolfpack.
Proctor finally getting to enjoy a play at the plate. He's wearing catcher's gear the first couple of times. Was the runner in this instance. Smickless ahead of the count, 3-0 now.
Patrick Bailey getting his workout has blocked all 3 of those balls in this at-bat.
Here is Chris Proctor. 2 for 3 on the afternoon. Missing badly. 3-0 was Clenny. So Smickless will walk down to first base. And that'll bring up Max Miller.
Clenny does not have his best stuff today. We saw him look much sharper Friday night.
Still just 1 across here in the bottom of the 5th. Duke with a 2-out hit could really give themselves a working margin here. Another one down in the turf. Now the 1-0. That one also misses. Nowhere to put Miller. Got to figure the Duke second baseman is there to take a strike. Or rip one down the left field line. At least 2. Waving the runner around. The throw comes into second base. And 3 runners will score on the 3 RBI double for Max Miller. Four in the first, 4 in the 5th. And Duke has an 8-2 lead here in Game 3.
Who needs situational hitting when you hit like Duke has today with the bases loaded? A grand slam by Griffin Conine and then a bases clearing double off the bat of Max Miller. Nearly snagged by the NC State third baseman Dylan Cooper, but right by his glove. It'll rattle around down the left field line. 3 base runners come around to score from Duke, and Max Miller picks up 3 RBIs.
Lebowski swings and misses at that first pitch from Clenny to fall behind 0-1. Kinnaman electing to throw to second base instead of trying to get the relay home. Don't know if he would have had an opportunity at that last run or not. You mentioned it, Ron. 2 hits, scoring 7 runs with the bases loaded. 7 of Duke's 8 here this afternoon. Lebowski sends one high and deep to left field. Kinnaman watches that one go over the fence. Fifth home run of the year for Lebowski. And that bases clearing double by Max Miller has lifted a lot of the tension at Jack Coombs Field. Immediately, Lebowski hammers one over the left field fence.
This Duke team in the midst of their longest losing streak of the season, 3 games, all to top 15 opponents, and you just feel the weight of the world lifted off their shoulders, having some great at-bats in this game.
Aaron skies that one toward deep short. Wilson able to end the inning for NC State. Blue Devils put half a dozen across. Miller delivering the 2-out, 3 RBI double. Lebowski backs it up with a 2-run shot. Duke looking well on their way to a win against. In a little more than half the game today, Duke has scored twice as many runs as it had all week. 2 against East Carolina on Tuesday. 3 total runs in games 1 and 2 against the Wolfpack this weekend. 10 here this afternoon as Stinson pitches to Wilson to lead things off in the top of the 6th. It's about a week's worth of frustration being let out by the Duke offense. Miller is not known for his offense, in part because his defense is so spectacular. It's hard not to put that at the top of the list in terms of what he brings to the table. But he has always been somebody that's been known to come up with clutch hits. No more clutch opportunity than the one he had in the bottom of the 5th inning. Clear the bases with 2 away. Off the glove of Stinson. Not going to be in time, I wouldn't think. No chance. The speedy Wilson will reach with a leadoff infield single here in the 6th.
Huge offensive performance so far in this game by the Blue Devils. You just felt that they needed some type of spark, and perhaps that Griffin Conine grand slam in the bottom of the 1st has propelled them to this 10-2 lead, and coming into this week ranked number 8 in the country, facing some stiff competition. They lost to East Carolina in the midweek and 2 in a row to State. And it's easy to say, oh, you know, you played some good teams, tough schedule. They wanted to prove that they earned that ranking in the top 10 in the country, and they're doing that right now.
Edwards takes a strike. Still 12 outs to work with if you're the Wolfpack. Mentioned how many times this year, the last couple of days, that the Wolfpack has scored 4 or more runs in an inning. So the offense very capable. Stinson, though, ahead in the count 0-2 to Edwards, who doubled and came around to score in his first at-bat. The 0-2. Edwards takes a ball. Count is 1-2 to the NC State first baseman. Kevin Elsey punching out Edwards, and there's 1 away.
Good fastball from Graham Stinson. Looked like Edwards thought it might have been a little up in the zone. Either way, too close to take with 2 strikes. That'll be the first out here in the top of the 6th inning for the Wolfpack offense.
3rd strikeout for Stinson. Here is Bailey. Has flown out and struck out, but like Miller, defense spectacular. Blocked probably a dozen wayward pitches here this weekend. Several with runners on third base. The 0-1 skips toward Proctor and glanced off of Bailey on the way. So he'll jog down to first base after the hit by pitch.
Looked like a breaking ball that got away from Stinson, just held on to it a little bit too long. Broke down in the dirt, caught Bailey what looked to be on the leg, somewhere in the lower leg, and he'll trot down to first.
That'll bring up Brock Dethridge, who had an RBI single in his first plate appearance today. Toward third, Duke has turned quite a few double plays this year. Can add another one to the total. Looked like Loperfido may have stepped off the bag early that time. I think that's the argument that NC State is going to try to make here. Perhaps a little anxious, the freshman first baseman, Coach Elliott Avon, telling everybody, calm down, I'm going to go talk to the umpire about it. It was first and second with one away. Lebowski goes to second, no doubt about that. It's the relay throw here. Loperfido may have still had the foot on there. Don't know if the claim is that Dethridge beat the throw. Another conversation. We have had a slew of these this weekend. A couple of plays at the plate. There was the stolen base play at second where Loperfido, perhaps because no replay could conclusively overturn it, was awarded second base, as was the call on the field, and now a different look. Oh, and he beat the throw.
Looked like he had it by about a half a step.
No question.
And they're going to go take a look at it.
No question about it.
Put the headphones on, look into the monitor, and that one will most likely be reversed, meaning it'll be first and third for the Wolfpack with 2 outs here in the top of the 6th inning.
It's going to be a tough double play to turn anyway with the speed of Dethridge.
Lebowski's feed to second base to Max Miller was a little bit high, and the result of that, a little bit longer of a transfer, and perhaps allowed Dethridge that half a step he needed to be safe running down the first base line.
Duke has made the double play look like an art form this year. If this were to be overturned, it'll be Wilson on third and Dethridge on first with 2 away, with Tatum at the plate. I think that is the scenario we are going to end up with, barring something unforeseen.
What is the record for most replay reviews in a 3-game ACC series?
How about NC State looking likely to win 3 out of 4? And I think would have made it a clean sweep if they had a different look at Loperfido at second, because I really do think he may have been out. But there was no direct look at his right hand, so it was hard to tell if his thumb was off the bag. A couple of innings ago. You can see the score, Duke by 8 here in the 6th, with at least 2 away. As we expected, runner is called safe. Call is overturned. So the scenario we laid out just a moment ago comes to fruition. And Tatum will have an opportunity with 2 away to drive in a run.
Sherman. Right field, bro.
No question about it. A couple of great looks from our production crew. Umpires able to see those looks as well. So here's Tatum, who walked and came around to score in his most recent plate appearance in the 5th inning after striking out looking in the 2nd. Has not put the ball in play yet today. Swings through that first pitch.
Stinson has had the ability to elevate that fastball and blow it by many of these NC State hitters. Anything up in the zone around the chest, State has swung through from the arm of the big Duke left-hander.
The 0-1 from Stinson is in for a strike, as the Duke lefty has to lock back in here after thinking he was out of the inning. open stance for Tatum. Stinson tries to paint the corner and just misses. 1 and 2. Tatum's back heel is on the line in the batter's box. Swung on and missed. So Stinson strikes out Tatum and ends the top of the 6th inning. Proctor, Cone, and Loperfido will come to the plate for Duke. 4th strikeout of the afternoon for the left-hander. Maintains the 8-run lead. New pitcher for NC State as David Harrison toes the rubber. Freshman lefty on for his 8th appearance of the season. 6 of the previous 7 came in starts. 19 earned runs surrendered in 22 innings even. 20 strikeouts to go along with 14 walks. And ideally for NC State, Harrison would take you the rest of the way. Perhaps save the rest of the bullpen. Although you never know how coaches want to construct things with midweek games coming up. You don't want to burn arms. Maybe Harrison was slated to start at some point along the way. So hard to predict in that sense. So he starts Proctor off with what would have been a strike.
Proctor, the man that led the charge for Duke back in the bottom of the 5th when they put up 5 runs. 6 runs, I'm sorry. He was the leadoff man, hit that single. NC State did help the Duke offensive cause, issuing 3 walks in that half inning. Big swing by Max Miller, and then the home run by Jack Lebowski.
The 1-1 is swung through. Proctor has singled twice and come around to score both times. Has the average up to 292. The 1-2. It's a 3-hit afternoon for Chris Proctor. A couple of runs scored as well.
Almost exactly how Proctor started that bottom of the 5th for Duke. A line drive to the right field. Great piece of hitting, turned on that ball. We mentioned many times his ability to go the other way, but very quick hands, as you see on that replay, dropping him down and pulling that ball into the grass out in right field. Turf, should I say. No grass here at Jack Coombs.
Looks like Ethan DeCaster and Jack Lebowski both warming for Duke in the bullpen. That throw way high as Proctor takes off.
That's such a great read by Chris Proctor. That's called reading the down angle of the ball. Runner at first base with speed like Proctor. As soon as you see the down angle is going to result in a ball that bounces before it gets to the catcher. In a blocking situation, you just go, because even there, as Patrick Bailey did, even if you block it, it's still a tough play to scramble that ball and make an accurate throw.
Cone waves at that one. Count is 1-1. So Proctor at second with nobody out. Maybe it seems silly to say with an 8-run lead, but you want to keep tacking these runs on if you're Duke. Just way too powerful an offense in the other dugout to sit on 10 runs. I think that's why you're seeing Proctor steal in this situation.
And for Cone here, maybe not necessarily a bunt sacrifice type of situation to move the runner, but just a ground ball to the right side will do the job. You may find a hole and end up with a base hit.
Cone straight up the middle. Gobbled up by Jarrett. That'll advance the runner to third. A productive out for Cone. So Proctor 90 feet away with less than 2 outs. As Loperfido a chance to drive in a run.
Great job by Zach Cone taking what he was given. He needed to hit the ground ball to the right side. Had he pulled that ball to the shortstop or third baseman, Chris Proctor would have never had the opportunity to advance to third. He would have ran right into an out. So nice piece of situational hitting, taking the ground ball to the right side and moving that runner to third base with less than 2 outs.
Maybe even been a double play if Proctor was still at first. Loperfido 1 for 1 officially. So fouls that one off. Walked in the first. A sacrifice fly in the 5th. So his only official at bat is a single in the third. Sorry, sacrifice bunt. Ron Causey giving me the hand signal here in the booth. Appreciate that. That one could be a sacrifice fly. To right field. Runner goes. Throw to the plate. Offline, and Proctor for the second time sliding head first for a run. I was just getting a little ahead of myself. That is a sacrifice fly for Loperfido.
Right. Duke doing it again, moving the runner around. Proctor standing down at third base, driven in by Loperfido. Another sac fly to right field. We saw Kenny Taylor do it in the bottom of the last inning. Here's the replay. A look at the fly ball to right, just deep enough. Fielding it is Deathridge. And the throw a little bit to the left side there. You see it. Bailey never really had a chance to corral the ball and make a tag.
Here's Conine, intentionally walked in his last plate appearance. Of course, got things started for Duke in the bottom of the first. No doubt grand slam to right field. Duke scored more runs with that one swing than it had to that point all weekend against the Wolfpack pitching staff. Average up to 231. Did he hold up the swing? He did not. 1-2. Coming into the weekend, Conine was batting .211, so he's raised the average 20 points. Looks at that ball as the count is 2-2. 5 for 10 officially on the weekend. The 2-2 fouled away. Off speed. Fouled away the other way. This time down the first baseline.
Young man's got some forearms.
The 2-2 pitch. Another foul ball. Even when Conine wasn't hitting for average, the power was never in question. I mentioned the 7 home runs he came into the weekend with. Looked a lot like Ron Causey in his playing days. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Make it 3-2. That one's in for a strike, and that will end the bottom of the 6th. Duke adds another run, though. Proctor steals second, moves to third on the ground ball, and the sacrifice fly from Loperfido scores run number 11 for the Blue Devils. Another reminder, the 2018 ACC Baseball Championship gets underway on May 22nd at the Durham Bulls Athletic Park in Durham, North Carolina. It all culminates with the championship game on May 27th on ESPN2. For tickets, go to theacc.com. An opportunity now to take a look back at what has been an offensive outburst for the Blue Devils after scoring 3 runs total in games 1 and 2. Duke had more than that in the bottom of the first alone. That one swing from Griffin Conine scored 4 runs and chased Michael Beeline after just a third of an inning. Wolfpack would scratch one across in the top of the 2nd and the top of the 5th. Suddenly, a 4-2 game started to feel very different than Duke unleashed a half a dozen in the bottom half of the 5th.
Duke offense coming alive here against NC State. The offensive production that they've really been looking for since their Tuesday matchup against East Carolina. Here's a look at Stinson with the high heat. Has done a great job throwing that fastball by these NC State hitters. They're the questionable call and the steal by Loperfido. Unable to catch that runner was Chris Proctor, and NC State trying to climb back in this game. They've scored 2. 1 in the top of the 2nd, 1 in the top of the 5th.
But the hit from Miller. It's a 2-0 count Here I am saying, wonder if he's going to be taking all the way. Instead, swinging away, drills that one down the left field line for extra bases. Bases clearing double. And then Lebowski backs it up with a 2-run shot. Sweet relief for both Conine and Lebowski. Perhaps Duke getting both of those guys going this weekend. Proctor with head-first slides on a couple of occasions. Now back out behind the plate. There's the box score.
Ryan, we mentioned it off the air. If you take a look at what this Duke team has done this season, they're eighth nationally in college baseball, having a great season in the ACC, competing for that top spot in the Coastal Division. And then you look at what Lebowski and Conine have done offensively, you would be shocked that they were able to have this type of success without those two guys. Well, those two guys have come alive, especially today, both with home runs. Conine's of the grand slam variety, and this Duke offense seems to be catching stride.
Guy on the mound right now for Duke is one of the reasons why Duke has had 30 wins worth of success, even though the offense at times has been stymied by the opposition. Ethan DeCaster, fifth-year transfer, has been just remarkable this year. You see the funky delivery. Pitched 2 2/3 innings yesterday through 28 pitches to do so. No runs, 2 hits on the season. DeCaster, this is now his 15th appearance. He has given up exactly 1 earned run. Got a 6-hopper through the middle, and Jarrett leads off the inning with a single. ERA at .29 for DeCaster. Duke obviously wanting to take no chances with this NC State offense. As DeCaster is called on to pitch on back-to-back days. Have a pinch hitter for NC State.
Looks like it'll be number 16, Shane Shepard.
On to hit for Dylan Cooper. In the 9 spot. So pinch hitters in both the 8 and 9 holes for NC State. Chopper to Miller. To second for 1. Over to first. Double play. It's the 36th double play that Max Miller has been a part of this season. Mention how many of those Duke has turned this year. You can tell that 3/4 of this infield run has played a lot of baseball together. They know each other, where they like the throws. Miller, Cone, and the only newcomer, Loper Fido, combined this time with the 4.63.
Well done there by the Duke defense. Coach Elliott Avent for NC State electing to pinch hit for Dylan Cooper, the right-handed hitter, thinking DeCaster's 2-seam fastball from the right side may be too much for him to handle. Shane Shepard, however, rolls into the tailor-made double play. The Duke defense did a great job executing.
The 0-1 pitch misses as McLean steps to the plate. RBI double in the 5th. Swung on and missed. And the count is 1-2.
Great off-speed pitch there from DeCaster. We broke down his delivery yesterday, and that 2-seam fastball. Nothing DeCaster throws is straight. Everything's got a little bit of a curve to it. 2-seam runs in on a right-hander. Then he's got the changeup, which we just saw, also a slider that breaks away.
High hop to Lebowski. Throw across in time, and McLean is retired. DeCaster comes on and does his job. Blue Devils will take a 9-run lead into the bottom of the 7th. Taylor, Smickless, and Miller due up. State has the series win in their back pocket, but the Blue Devils looking for a top 10 win of their own this weekend. (11-2) Duke. Headed to the bottom of the 7th. Couple of defensive changes for the Wolfpack. Devontae Brown comes on to play third base. Jack Conley replaces Patrick Bailey in behind the plate. As Coach Elliot Avent gets some innings for a few reserves here in Game 3. Taylor swings and misses at the first pitch from David Harrison, who threw 18 pitches in his first inning of work. And that one is fouled away as the count goes to 0-2. Kenny Taylor swings and misses. Taylor's had a bit of a feast or famine series for Duke. Played a solid defensive outfield, couple of triples as well. Struck out quite a few times, though.
Kenny Taylor also had that sacrifice fly, picked up the RBI to right field earlier in the game, and there really struggles with the breaking pitches. Another breaking pitch down 0-2 in the count. Chases that one a little bit outside of the strike zone.
Smickless walked and came around to score in the 5th. Officially 0 for 2 on the day. Ahead in the count, 1-0. Miller, who drove in 3 with a 2-out, 3-run double, stands in the on-deck circle. That was in the 5th inning that really broke this one open for Duke. Blue Devils a golden opportunity now to win Game 3. Grounder to first. Harrison over to field. That toss in plenty of time, and there's 2 away.
David Harrison working very quickly right now for the Wolfpack. 2 quick outs in Kenny Taylor and Michael Smickless. He'll see Max Miller now. Miller, the guy, had that big double back in the bottom of the 5th.
Ball 1 to Miller. It's funny, you see 21 RBIs for Max Miller. Those are offensive RBIs, right? He's got defensive runs saved for days. It's a guy probably steals you, and I'm not talking about the running kind, prevents the opposing offense from a couple dozen bases a year on balls that would otherwise roll into the outfield, double plays turned that would normally just be 1 out.
Duke certainly missed Miller on Friday night. Filling in for him, Tyler Wardwell, who had a few plays that most likely we've seen Miller make in the past, and kind of the beginning of the end for the Blue Devils there. Top of the 3rd inning, and State tacked 7 on Duke very quickly in 2 half innings, and that eventually brought the Wolfpack to victory in Game 1. Duke glad to have Max Miller back in the lineup as he draws that walk.
Lebowski struck out looking in the 4th, but walked in the 2nd, and then the 2-run home run in the 5th. Who would have figured that Duke would have 2 home runs this weekend, and the Wolfpack would not have any? NC State would have had 1 if not for Jimmy Herron. Of course, Duke would have had 3 if not for Brett Kinnaman. Both teams stealing a home run in left field this weekend. The 1-1 pitch. Blocked by Conley.
Duke has actually outscored NC State in this series. Dropped Game 1, dropped Game 2, but offensive production has shown up today, and 14 runs on the weekend for the Blue Devils compared to 13 for the Wolfpack.
Conley can't block that one. That was about a 56-footer. Out of the arm of Harrison. That one misses as well.
Two walks in a row now for David Harrison, but no action in the Wolfpack bullpen. You've got to think that Harrison's going to have this ball for at least the rest of this inning, despite those two walks.
If you take out Adam Lasky's 3 2/3, he gave up 8 runs, 7 of those earned. Duke has only given up 5 runs since the last out of the 4th inning in Game 1. "21 1/3 innings by my count. Bullpen has been great for Duke throughout the weekend. Stallings and Day highly effective as well. Another chat on the mound.
The series has certainly felt a little more lopsided than it actually has. When you look at the stats, you bring up a good point. Lasky's rough start Friday night and the 3-run top of the 3rd, 4-run top of the 4th, and those 2 half innings alone made this series feel much more in NC State's favor. Yesterday, a very close game, 2-1 win by the Wolfpack. That's when they clinched the series. And Duke charging back on a Sunday.
You mentioned it at the top of the broadcast. It was an important afternoon for Duke. No matter what happened, it was not going to undo the 30 wins they'd already accrued. But you get a win today and you approach this next week with a lot different feel, different mentality, different taste in your mouth than if you came out and got swept by the Wolfpack. This one's not over yet, obviously, but Duke looks very much like they're in position to win Game 3.
I think Duke came into this week tight. You look at their schedule. We've mentioned the midweek matchup against East Carolina, who was at the time number 11 in the country. Knew they were coming to face the Wolfpack at home this weekend. Wolfpack a top 5 team pretty much no matter what poll you look at.
Into left center. No trouble for McLean. On the other side, we'll talk a little bit about the upcoming schedule for the Wolfpack. Big-time in-state matchups for NC State on the horizon. Got a series win against Duke. Looking for the sweep, however unlikely, here in Game 3. A 9-run lead for Duke in the top of the 8th. Jack Lebowski on the mound. Has not pitched yet this series. Lebowski has yet to give up a run, earned or otherwise, this season. This is his 13th appearance, has 6 saves on the year, 18 innings pitched. He and DeCaster have been an incredible 1-2 combo. For the most part, if Duke has taken a run into the 7th inning this year, it's been lights out for the opposition. Erickson Nichols takes over for Lebowski at 3rd. As the do-it-all third baseman, right-handed pitcher, home run hitter today, Lebowski will be asked to get the final 6 outs here in Game 3. Quickly ahead of Kinnaman, 0-2.
Lebowski's so reliable as a closer for the Blue Devils. Chris Pollard has a lot of faith in that young man on the mound. He's got great command of all his pitches. And when he steps in the game with the lead, you've got a lot of confidence that things like that will happen for the Blue Devils in their defense.
3 pitches, 1 out. Kinnaman retired swinging.
Fastball by Lebowski, outer part, good 2-seam movement, 3 pitches, 1 out for the Blue Devil closer.
Lebowski's only surrendered 2 walks this year. That was strikeout number 12. There's another strike. See how quickly Lebowski is working here.
Lebowski going right at these NC State hitters. All strikes so far. That makes 5 in a row.
Time called. Tapper foul. Talk about the upcoming schedule a bit, and what Duke has had to deal with during this stretch and what their mentality would be going forward. They're at Davidson on Tuesday, then a series up in Blacksburg against Virginia Tech. On tap for the NC State Wolfpack. How about a midweeker against East Carolina, a sellout already in Raleigh? As the new defender, as is what feels like a rule in baseball, the first ball is immediately hit to him. Erickson Nichols makes the play. So you get the Pirates on Tuesday, and then how about hosting arch rival North Carolina? That 4-game set on campus in Raleigh figures to be raucous and with major postseason implications. Pirates came to Durham this past Tuesday and got a win. State and Carolina actually played that night as well.
Oddly enough, in a non-conference matchup, no implications in the Atlantic Coast Conference. They played down at the Durham Bulls Athletic Park, where State put away the Tar Heels relatively easily.
Lebowski looking to put away NC State relatively easily here in the 8th. Ahead of each hitter 0-2. Edwards no exception. Lebowski misses that time. Count evens at 2-2. And there's strike 3. 2 strikeouts in the inning for Lebowski. Scoreless streak continues for another inning. New pitcher for the Wolfpack. As the day is done for David Harrison. David Vasquez comes on to play short for NC State. As the changes continue, that'll mean the end of the day and the series for Will Wilson. And what a series it was. There you see the stats on Swinney. Swinney on to face Proctor, Cone, Loperfido. No more productive bat in the lineup. Well, I guess Griffin Conine, Max Miller may have a case, but seems like Chris Proctor's been here everywhere today. As the Wolfpack look on, a bit dejected this afternoon, but with a series win, a top 10 series win on the road in conference. Hard to feel too bad about the effort this weekend. Proctor has singled 3 times, come around to score all 3 times. Been good behind the plate as well. Lifts that one down the left field line. Kinnaman is there. There's one away.
Good series for the Blue Devil catcher, even with that out. 3 for 5 on the day. Scored 3 times as well, had a stolen base. We've seen Zach Cone score a couple runs. He's the man at the plate now for the Blue Devils. He's trotted around the bases after that Griffin Conine grand slam in the bottom of the first.
7 different Blue Devils have scored runs today. Proctor 3, Cone and Conine 2 apiece. Loperfido, Smiklis, Miller, and Lebowski have all scored as well. Duke has drawn 8 walks. Of course, a couple of home runs from their power hitters. Today has really been everything for Duke that the first 2 days and first 2 games in this series were not.
I'm sure NC State will address, you mentioned the walk count today. Of those, 4 came around to score, so essentially 4 free base runners that Duke was able to capitalize on.
Wolfpack had only issued 3 walks the entire weekend. It's compared to 8 today alone. NC State had really limited the free offense that it had given Duke up until today. The 2-2 ripped from Cone right to Vasquez. 2 away.
Great swing by Zach Cone. Unfortunately for him, right at Vasquez. Looked like a breaking ball that he was able to square up right at the replacement shortstop for the Wolfpack. Here's another look at the swing. There's the breaking pitch, and perfect contact by Zach Cone, the Duke shortstop.
Loperfido steps in. This is his 5th plate appearance, but he is officially 1 for 1. 2 sacrifices, a walk, and a single. So very effective and very busy today, but it doesn't necessarily show up in the at-bats column. Scored a run, driven in another, stolen a couple of bases, fouls that one away.
Loperfido's got a very balanced approach at the plate. When you watch him in the batter's box, the way he handles pitches and the good eye he has at the plate, you'd never think he was a freshman.
Loperfido waves at that one. Swinney retires Duke without surrendering a run. Wolfpack down to their final 3 outs. Conley, Dethridge, and Tatum. Will it be Lebowski or another Blue Devil arm? We'll find out on the other side of the break. Either way, Duke looks like it's headed to a Game 3 win. Chris Pollard on the left, Elliot Avon on the right. 2 big-time coaches, 2 big-time competitors. Obviously, they want to win each and every game, and each and every time their teams take the field. I think both of them, though, have something to feel good about this weekend.
A little bit of poetic justice in this game for the Blue Devils. State secured the series with the 2-1 victory yesterday. Today, Duke had all the pressure on its shoulders, wanting to come out and salvage a win against 4th-ranked Wolfpack, and they've looked to be on the way to doing that. Chris Pollard obviously going to be thrilled to come away with such a quality win for his club.
First at-bat of the series for Conley, who's 5 of 11 on the season with 6 runs scored. Batting .455. Limited plate appearances. A couple of starts this year for Conley. Lebowski misses with that pitch. Bryce Jarvis and Bill Chilleri warming up for Duke in the bullpen in case Lebowski encounters any issues here in the top of the 9th. Stephen Oakley steps into the on-deck circle for NC State. Looks like he's prepared to hit for Brock Dethridge, who was slated to be on deck. Swinging 3-1 was Conley. Now a full count. Umpire says Conley went around. So there's one away.
Connolly did not think that Connolly went around, and we'll take another look from our perspective. Did see the barrel of the bat flash out there for a minute. Did a good job using those forearms to hold, but not good enough. That is definitely an attempt. So a good call by the first base umpire, Chris Ward.
Lebowski fielding his position, lobs that one over to first. I don't know if you're going to see a better fielding pitcher in America. Lebowski plays a slick third base, applies that trade to the mound. as well. And there's 2 away. Had to wait for his first baseman to get over to the bag. And Lebowski, not necessarily known as a strikeout pitcher, 11 strikeouts in 18 innings coming into this outing, but he has 3 already today. 19 pitches in. Got an inning and 2/3. And Stephen Oakley represents the final hope for the NC State Wolfpack. Oakley 2 for 7 on the season. This is the 9th game in which he has appeared. Takes a strike. Well, Ron, as we see the final couple of pitches, or it could be the final couple of pitches here this afternoon, and maybe the final pitch, Kenny Taylor can track that one down in center to the track, and that's it. Your thoughts on the weekend? We saw, a little bit of everything. We had replays on plays at the plate, home runs stolen, home runs hit, pitchers duels, both teams exploding on offense. One game, NC State did it in game 1. Duke does it here in game 3. Give us your sense of what you just saw over the last couple of days.
Well, it was a great top 10 matchup here in the ACC. The Wolfpack, as you mentioned, wins the series. They had the blowout on Friday. Duke has the blowout here on Sunday. A tight game, a 2-1 game yesterday. And home runs from Conine and Lebowski have got to make this Duke offense feel good moving forward. They lost the series, but actually outscored NC State. Duke pitching and defense was stellar in games 2 and 3, only allowing an NC State offensive club that's hitting over 300, 2 runs per game. And it looks like we've got some words at home plate right now between Elliot Avent and assistant coach for the Blue Devils, Josh Jordan. Lots of emotions